What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning back into Chase Games here, and today, oh my god, guys, I'm going to do a tier list of all the S-rank units. This one is centered towards new players. God damn, there's so many S-ranks now. What am I doing? There's an entire category for things that you can't even get right now, basically story stuff. So I'm going to do this in multiple parts, otherwise this might actually be my first video that's well over an hour, like closer to 2. So I'll try to break this up into like 30-minute segments. Yeah, there's not going to be a particular order here. Yeah. Keep in mind, I'm going to mention that some of these are going to get blossomed soon. If I tell you that, it doesn't mean orb them now, okay? It means you probably want to orb them later. That's how I'm doing this tier list, like whether you want to orb them or not. A thing about this game that new players will find out relatively quickly is that being pretty good is not enough. There's so many... The units in this game are not exactly balanced. Now, if you need a certain unit, you know, a crap unit can be better than the right one. If there's a stage with, say, high damage output, and needed something that has the right resistance. Sometimes you need something with 2 perfect resistances, you know? Some of these bosses will put out, you know, different elements. The game kind of designs that sometimes. Sometimes you need the newest unit to really nail a stage because they have the right resistances, the right attack, etc. They don't do that quite as much anymore. But anyway, and another thing is I'm going to mention that some units, basically just letting you know not to be set. There are a few units on here that are older that haven't been blossomed. If I say that they will probably be blossomed soon, again, that doesn't mean to orb them necessarily. And also, I have no insight whatsoever other than knowing what happens in JP for the next 3 months. So I have no insider knowledge, okay? I'm a very small YouTube guy, okay? And I am tolerated by Malcolm. He's kinder than me than I would expect, because I'm very harsh to the game. Anyway, let's finally get to it. An oldie but a goodie. This guy is one of the first units in this game after the general pool. Okay, we got Dragon Lord. He was one of the first units to get a Blossom, so he went from being still really good with amazing single target frizz spell damage to now he's really good. Now he's got a big Zam AoE attack. Big Zam. Been playing a lot of Gundam. It's 5 tiles wide, range 3. His frizz spell still is, you know, it doesn't have a... It's not a lot of range. He's move 2. The move is basically range 2. But it's really high single target damage, although I think some newer units may be outclassing him. Or at least closing in on it. Because for quite a while, his single target damage, unbuffed, was insane. Although, I'm telling you, if you guys see this guy in PvP, be careful. If you don't kill him, he's going to kill one of your units. Guaranteed. So there we go. And we'll go right ahead, and I say True Form is in the same spot. He got blossomed and released they got blossomed and released just after each other both times. This guy's still really relevant, but I can't say that either of them are Orb ASAP or Must Orb. He has a Blossom skill that gives him a pretty decent single target breath frizz skill, but there's a lot of frizz out right now. It's only single target, which isn't always bad, but you know, there's a lot of things that do massive AoE damage that are nearly or the same amount of damage. So very high survivability though. He's got a lot of HP. He's got dragon scale, and he does some decent typeless physical damage too. No range on it though, really. So a good unit, but probably not something you want to orb right away. Juliante. I'm gonna look. These are not all gonna be in order, but I would say that she is a bigger priority than these guys. She's in the general pool now, so she is on every banner. The exception being special banners that don't have the general pool in them. As a new player, there are a lot of things in the general pool that you want. Seraphy, for example, is in there now, and she's one of the most amazing units in the game. But basically, you're going to get so many pulls in the general pool that you're going to get these things eventually. Although I believe the general pool is up to 30 units now, so it's a little different. But anyway, anything without the general pool is good. But hopefully it's not too hard for you to get a couple of copies of Juliante. She has a Blossom that buffs attack around her, which was very powerful when she came out, and it's still powerful, but basically all physical teams are not what they used to be. All physical was basically the best that you could do because you couldn't really buff Wisdom. There weren't flat out potency boosts all around like they are now, barely any, if any. So boosting physical attack was all that you could do for quite a while. So now that there are other options, now that you can actually use Martial and Breath and Spellcasters again, her value is down, but she's still terrific. Queen Slime. I think I'm going to put her at Orb ASAP, but she's pretty low. Again, another general pool unit. She has an amazing Blossom. She has the chance to charm things that hit her automatic. I think it's a rare chance to charm things that hit her, maybe very rare. And that chance is doubled if the unit is weak to it as well. That can matter a lot. Charm is very, very powerful. So the fact that she's fast, she's relatively tanky, and she's still going to do some relevant damage on top of the chance that, you know, she could sit there and do nothing and just hitting her might charm something. She's very powerful. Lionheart, I think he's got to be meh now. He could totally be worth an orb, but he's so far down the list of things that deserve an orb. I think he's got to go in meh now. He's also in the general pool. He came out right after Queen Slime, so the thing is, he is still usable. Okay, he does some decent damage. He's got a strong whoosh multi-hitting attack that can lower defense, so that's still really, really useful. But he's so damn squishy that he basically has to be used with a cover tank now. And aside from that, you know, most day one players like myself have him fully awakened, or at least at 3 or 4 hearts. So if you've got him at 0 or 1 hearts, no. And there's just, once again, there are so many other things that you want to orb. Now this guy he's out, but he's not blossomed on global. I'm going off hearsay here, but I believe this guy is a big old S. Okay, you definitely want to orb this guy. His blossom is coming in less than 2 weeks, so this is something that you can definitely orb right away. If you're a new player and you get him in your celebration polls and whatnot, that's a huge win. Okay, moving on, Baramos. I think I'm gonna say worth an orb on him. Now, his Confusion AoE Typeless Breath is not as strong as some of the others, but then again, you know, I'm comparing him to something like CGM. And I believe there are some other options that are coming out soon that also do a lot of confusion. But if you have CGM, he's devalued a lot, and also he's very slow. He doesn't have any survivability. I think he's fairly weak defensively, not much HP. I don't use slow units in PvP, so it's different. He's got a lot of PvE utility, because when his breath does confuse something, he does a really good amount of some bang spell damage to it. But if something, you know, when you're trying to confuse something, you really don't care about a little bit of extra damage, but it's good, of course. Anyway, I think that you just have a lot of better things to blossom, but Baramos is still a killer. But once again, you know, things that are pretty good in this game don't stack up to the things that are just ridiculous. I'm not even sure if Queen Slime deserves to be up here, but Queen Slime is an amazing... You have to remember that she's also 50 points. So a lot of these broken things are going to be 65. Sometimes you need some 50-pointers, you know? So, Valencia... I'm going to go ahead and put Valencia in meh. She has a Blossom. I've never been able to really say what her output's like, because I don't even have an Awakening on her, even when she's fully Blossomed. She doesn't have the power to take out anything. She's basically single target damage only. So I'm going to leave her in meh. She's in the general pool. You know, if you were to somehow manage to get multiple copies of her, it might move up. But even then, you're going to get other things. You know, newer units that have one Awakening on them are much superior to her. So I'm not going to say that she's useless, but I don't think I can say that she's worth an orb, because she was literally added to the general pool yesterday, or 2 days ago. We got screwed on global. She should have been on the general pool banner for the last year, and she wasn't. So she's worthless. She is not worth an orb. Elena, I don't know if she's being close to aged. She was one of the really early units to blossom, but it's so strong. She gets 40% evasion and does a lot of damage. She's move 3, and her Trailblazer ability lets her move to the other side of units. So she can move 3, she can attack the units, the 3 units in front of her in a line, and then be on the other side of them at the end, if the terrain allows for it. Just a whole lot of value there. So, you know, if there's if there's breath and spell damage on the field, you know, she's not immune to that. So that can get her. And 40% evasion is not, that doesn't guarantee she's not going to get hit. She can get taken out by physical and martial easily, but that 40% just works a lot better than you'd think. She's also very fast. So I absolutely love Elena. I can't say that she's the highest priority to our orb anymore, but if you get a couple copies of her, she's really high up on the priority list. And again, you're a new player. You're not going to get all of these things. So there's that. By the way, another thing to keep in mind here, when ranking these things, you know, if I tell you that, like, if you pull like 4 different units that I all put in these top tiers, and they all have blossoms, it's going to take you a while to be able to blossom all those guys. So, you know, the more units you have that are only good with a blossom, the less value they have for you for a little while. So keep that in mind. Don't orb things before you can blossom them, basically. Don't be afraid to sit on a couple of orbs, although we do get them regularly, and the chance of getting the new banner units is relatively low, so you don't need to sit on too many, but you definitely never want to waste them. Kirill's one of the... They already blossomed him. It was pretty crap. At the time, he was able to buff Wisdom, which was unique, basically, but that's not even relevant anymore. So, yeah. Sorrow, the Manslayer. I'm going to put him behind Lionheart. Again, I'm not going to always keep these in order, but you know what? He's not useless, but he's very crept out. I don't think he's very defensive anymore. His attack is not... It's not great, you know. You're not gonna want to orb this guy for a while. I'll only say that if you pull him, don't be too disappointed, because he's got to be blossomed soon. It can't be far off. Draguar. I'm gonna put right here. Draguar, I think, can still put out some really good damage. He's very squishy, but he's got high mobility. This is also a very old unit. He's older than Sorrow. This was from month 4 of the game, and I think he was earlier in the JP version. He's got to have a blossom soon. The only reason he's not blossomed, I believe, is that he's still relevant. He's just squishy. Really, too squishy. But, like, this guy can still put out some awesome damage. Bianca. Bianca is amazing. Bianca is the reason that you probably wanted to do the Bride banners. None of the other things were worth it, really. They can be useful. I've heard that Deborah can put out some amazing damage, but Bianca is a tier above all the other brides. And she's not going to do the most damage, but she does some really strong zap physical damage in a large AoE area, and it's also multi-hit, which is becoming more useful. There are people are starting to take advantage. They're starting to make more units that negate the first hit, or they take half off the first hit. Zenlon that's coming up is going to take 50% off his first 3 hits. So getting through abilities like that with an agile unit that's going to deal some relevant damage too, to damn near everything on the field, very, very good. The only thing is she's probably going to, like, Nocturnus will take her down in 1 hit. I lose her to Nocturnus a lot because I'm not very careful around Nocturnus anymore, and I should be. But yeah, like, a strong whoosh physical attack is going to take her out. I'm sure Erdrick will one-shot her easily, so if you use her, maybe have a plan. There you go. Nera is really far down on the list of worth an orb, only because her new Blossom ability is Bang, and Bang is a really, really, really common element, and I don't think that she's that strong. I could be wrong on her, okay? But out of the list of things to orb, out of the list of things to blossom, I just don't think she's good enough. So I'm sure she can be really useful. But yeah, Deborah. I think I have to put Deborah at like the top of this list. First of all, again, she needs orbs. She needs blossom materials, and I think there's a lot better things to do. I'm not crazy about her new ability. I'm not crazy about her range. I hate livid mode, but I've been wrong on her before. But before, she was only really useful because she was almost literally the only Sizz damage in the game. So, anyway, I know that she can do some amazing things right now, but I don't love her. I might be rating her too low, but I think that she is just kind of worth an orb. Again, units that take 2 orbs and blossom materials, it's a lot to ask for when there's a lot of other units that are also amazing that will need those. Nimzo's meh. I would have rated Nimzo higher a while ago because he had a unique ability to lower attack and wisdom, but that's not as important as it used to be. There's also other units that do it. And it's very rare that you need to do both of those things. It's fairly easy to... It's a lot easier to lower attack than wisdom, but there are more ways to lower wisdom now, so... yeah, there's other options. This is going to be a little controversial. I'm actually going to put King She-Slime up in Orb ASAP. And here's why. Okay, so the orbs, he's still going to take 2 orbs, of course. He's in the general pool. He's relatively easy to get. The thing is that he doesn't take a lot of blossom materials. He absolutely has to have his blossom materials, but if you get his new ability, that's really all you need. Getting the agility to his left will help too, but he doesn't necessarily need that. I use mine all the time, and he only has 1 of them activated. One of the agility nodes. He has 2 of them. And I believe each of those only takes 2 Lotus, so you don't need to do his bottom or right node at all. In fact, the bottom one, you probably don't want to. It screws up a lot of strategies. Although there are some strategies that take advantage of it, so, you know. S-Stark. A lot of people are going to say, he's meh. He's meh. No, S-Stark is still good. In fact, I think I'm going to put him here just because, you know, he's not blossomed yet. He doesn't have any blossom material. He just takes 2 orbs. He doesn't have a lot of range. This guy is still going to do a crap ton of damage. He still has great survivability. He's just, you know, he's just not very mobile. He's only 3 move with really no range, basically. But once again, this guy is from the 6-month anniversary. He is essentially 1.5 years old, because compared to JP, we're at the 2-year mark, even though the game's about 19 months old in the States, globally, sorry. There's a really good chance he could be blossomed soon. So even without a blossom incoming, though, he's a really strong unit still. There's just a lot of things that outshine him, though. Seraphy, oh my god, must-orb. She's the best healer in the game, so she does no damage, okay? I mean, yeah, you could put a crappy spell on her or something, but no, she doesn't do damage. You're never going to want to do damage with her. She's just the best healer in the game, bar none. I'm not going to go into details about it, but you absolutely want her. You don't need awakenings on her, though. Honestly, for experienced players that have her being in the general pool is bad, because I don't want more copies of her. But then again, I think a lot of the guides that use her are going to start taking more awakening copies into review. And I say this because Seraphy is in every single guide, basically. Okay. She's in a lot of guides, and a lot of them, the agility is important, and she's very fast, so whatever. Seraphy is the most amazing unit in the game, because she's the best healer by a mile. Rickard, you know, the Prince of Canton. Prince of Canton, I'm going to put up here Orb ASAP. I'll say like here. He's untested. I don't know what he does. I've heard he's amazing. He may be in the must-orb category, but I don't know. He really needs an awaken, because his first awaken is move +1. But yeah, this guy is going to... His first turn damage is not great. He might not be a good PvP unit. But turns 2 and 3, he's going to do amazing damage. He gets an agility buff after he hits something now, too. So he's probably going to go middle or end of the pack on turn 1, and possibly first on turn 2. That's a really strong thing sometimes. So That's great. Again, this guy takes orbs. I think they all take orbs. I gotta stop saying that, but he takes blossom materials. Um, but I think he's gonna do a lot of damage. Sizz is still a little bit low. It could be very easy for a new player to not have a lot of Sizz damage, and it's a pretty useful type. So, yeah, he does spell and physical damage, so that can be good. He's got some problems in his kit, but apparently he's pretty strong. I like him, so there we go. She also just got blossomed, the Princess of Moonbrook, Paranol. I've not used her, okay? She might put out some better damage than I'd expect, but her blossom was just not very good. It doesn't look good to me. It's single target zap damage. And the rest of her kit does not wow me at all. She has a one-time use heal. The buffs on it are not the amazing thing that they were before, so I don't think that you should be orbing Paranol. Hargon. This guy I'm very excited about. I might be bumping him up too much, but I think his ability to do a 6 area ranged Zam spell is amazing. Okay, it leaves behind 500 damage tiles behind, so anything that ends their turn or gets pushed into them is going to take 500 damage. Arena cuts that down to 350. That's a 30% reduction, 350. But yeah, that's a lot of things he's doing damage to. The damage is not huge, okay? But that's a lot of AoE. The damage tiles can be really useful. Although, keep in mind, if you step into those tiles with your own characters, it'll hurt them just as much. Besides that, he doesn't have an auto revive or anything like a handful of units do. Very, very few. But he does have a good amount of HP, agility, and I think he's got 3 movement. I can't remember. What is it? The first 2 times you bring him below 50% HP, he heals 50% HP. Okay, that happens twice, and he has a decent HP pool, so it's really easy to knock him down to half twice, and each time he'll heal. That's twice he heals half of his HP. So he's not so squishy that a lot of attacks are going to one-hit KO him. So he's got amazing survivability and decent agility for a spellcaster. So that's great. And there's just not a lot of Zam damage. Who got Durin? Durin's the only other Durin, and there's Baby Rapthorn. I don't know how arena viable that is, but that's really the only Zam damage other than Barbarous, and nobody has Barbarous. So, yeah, this is a unit that a lot of people have, and he just got really, really strong. So I'm going to say he's a must-orb. Malroth is also a must-orb. There are finally some contenders for, big guys that put out a lot of status conditions, but not only is he the OG version, in PvE, he has one move that has a 60% chance to both envenomate and sleep at the same time. I'm not going to go on about it a lot, but there are a lot of units that he can kill very easily that won't get to do any damage after he attacks them. Okay, when you sleep something, you can make it stay asleep for 4 turns very easily, and envenomate will kill it in 4 turns. Basically, looking at that strat in a Discord or in other videos, but Malroth is busted. He's pretty good in PvE too, or sorry, PvP. Not one of the best necessarily, but you definitely need to beware of him. So yeah, I love Malroth. He's definitely a must-orb. When you start getting into some of the mid-tier Blossom doors, he's godly. Okay. All right. What is this? Overkilling Machine? Meh. I'm just not going to talk about him. He was good when he came out. Didn't really last that long. Absolutely needs his Awakening for Movement 3. He's just meh. He's probably due for a Blossom soon. So he's got that going for him. Great Dragon. Great Dragon might go up to Orb ASAP after Zenlon comes out, but that's if you have Zenlon. But he's general pool, so it shouldn't take too long to get a couple copies of him, hopefully. Although then again, for new players, the general pool is pretty big, and I'm still going to advise people not to do many general pool pulls on basic banners. So it might take you a while, but anyway, he got blossomed last year. His damage is getting a little bit dated. But it's still good damage. He's still very fast. I think his HP might be decent. I'm not sure. But anyway, this guy's about to get a basically the best leader that the game's ever had. It's only for Dragon Breath, but I think this guy's about to get a little bump just from Zenlon existing, so that might move him up for you. It's up to you, but that's really only based on Zenlon. Otherwise, he does some pretty good crack AoE breath damage, which is good all on its own. But there's so many other amazing units. Archdemon. This guy was one of the literal worst units in the game. Honestly, for almost basically the game's entire lifespan before it was before he got blossomed, because I mean he had no range. Bang was never really that rare, maybe for the game's first few months, but now he has he's got a lot of range on a big Bang spell AoE. It does pretty good damage. A lot of things are weak to Bang, so a lot of things are resistant to it as well, so you got to be careful. But this guy is amazing now. He's only 50 points, and he's fast enough that if you put agility gear on him, he'll outspeed a fair amount of things. But yeah, this guy is an amazing 50 pointer, so try to orb him up ASAP if you've got multiple awakenings on him. White King is meh, and he's going to get a Blossom in a month, and he's still going to be meh. He was amazing in the beginning of the game, but now he has no HP, and his Blossom isn't going to give him any survivability, so I'm going to say he's trash. He's just too weak, even though he can still do some relevant damage. Prism Peacock. This guy got blossomed, and he is still poopy. He may have been relevant when he first got blossomed, but of the things to blossom, he was probably still the worst. So, you know, being the worst of good units still makes him crap, you know? Because it was all general pool and older units, so there's never a reason to orb this guy, even if you can get some performance out of him. There's literally dozens of things that are better to use your resources on. Killing Machine. I'm going to go ahead and put him at the... Like, this guy is intentionally at the end of... By the way, I'll move him up, like, there. Maybe even there. It's hard to say. I'm going to put this guy down here. His damage is amazing. I know the last time I put him on a tier list, when I didn't put him at the top, I saw that there were a couple of reactions like, you're... is that how you say "re" in real life? Anyway, he's PvE only in my opinion. He can do a hell of a lot of damage in PvP, but he is movement 3 with range 2. So if the unit that you're bringing him to deal with, because he is single target basically, is in the back, there's a good chance that you might not reach what you brought him for turn 1, and I'm all about turn 1 in Arena personally. Could change in other modes and different strategies, but I'm going to put him here. Now, he does heal himself and get a permanent double attack and defense boost when he drops below, I believe it's 20% HP. It's really easy to miss that landmark, though, so keep in mind, don't overestimate the value of full heals below 20%, because if he dies, it doesn't activate. But anyway, his damage is insane. He has a 20 to 30% chance, depending on how much you blossom him, to repeat the attack that he did in the round. But again, because of his limited range, I'm going to say PvE only on him. Which, even though I say I hate PvP, I always prioritize those units first, if for nothing else for GVG now. But yeah, you know, honestly, this guy is in the Orb ASAP, because you're probably going to see him in a lot of guides and things like that, a fair amount. And he's going to be really useful. It's a lot of power there. So, yeah, he's a really good unit. He's just kind of at the bottom of this list, though. This guy, he just got a Blossom, and I bet you this guy puts out a buttload of damage. But he's got to be in meh. Yeah, he's got to be down here. Okay. So, I mean, there's not a Blossom coming from him. His range is still pretty meh. And also, he's a dragon that doesn't have breath, so he's not... You know, oh, he's a dragon. Well, he doesn't do breath, so he's not getting hyped up there. And there's just a lot of other things that are doing Zap Physical right now. So I'm sure, like, single target... Well, he has, like, an X-shape attack. I really haven't used many of those. I don't know. I could be underestimating him, but if I am, everybody else is too. I'm sure you can do a buttload of damage with him. He's general pool, so you'll get copies of him eventually. But I just think that there are way too many other things to put your resources into. I'm gonna end this video here again. I'm gonna do multiple parts because, god damn, barely started. Emperor Slime is meh. He's too dated. Even if you don't have another healer right now, I could not tell you to actually put orbs into this guy. Granted, he has not been blossomed yet. Okay, he is an OG general pool unit, so it's only a matter of time, right? But there is no guarantee. So it's not actually true that it's a matter of time. Technically, that's not correct, but I would expect one for him soon. But there's nothing on the horizon. Yeah, he used to be a pretty interesting unit, but Seraphi is so much better. There are other healers with multi-heal now, so there's no universe in which you put orbs into Emperor Slime. So anyway, I'll be back. I'm going to start round 2 in just a minute, but anyway, go grab a snack, hit the bathroom, and I'll be back soon with more later.